Sayın Dekan Yardımcım, sayın hocalarım, sevgili öğrenciler ve bizi dinlemek için seminere katılan sayın konuklarımız, hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Dear Vice Dean, dear professors, dear students, and our dear guests who joined the seminar to listen to us, welcome all of you. The restoration, protection and sustainable management of the world's rivers are very important. Water is crucial for all life, and we need healthy rivers, lakes, and wetlands for sustainable development. As we are Aquatic Science Faculty, promote and support effective management of these resources by facilitating knowledge sharing, education, and best practice river basin management. We are hoping positive effects on ecological outcome through the seminar, which have a mind-changing impact on our guests and participation. Now, let me, shall I read Turkish, Herman, your CV? Seminere başlamadan önce sizlere Herman Wanningen'in tanıtmak istiyorum. Herman balık göçü ve su yönetimi konusunda 25 yıllık deneyime sahip bir su ekolojisti ve girişimcisidir. Dünya Balık Göçü Günü başlatması, 3 uluslararası kitabın ortak yazarlığı, uluslararası konferanslar düzenlemesi ve hareket ağları geliştirmesiyle tanınmaktadır. Herman dünya çapında serbest akan nehirlerdeki barajları kaldırmak ve balık popülasyonlarını korumak için Dünya Balık Göç Vakfı'nı ve Avrupa Baraj Kaldırma Hareketi'ni kurdu. 2014 yılından bu yana göç eden balıklar ve serbest akan nehirler konusunda farkındalık yaratmak için dünya çapında öğrenciler ve diğer insanlarla birçok ilham verici etkinlik düzenlemek için Dünya Balık Göç Günü'nü düzenliyor. Herman ve ekibi eski barajları tespit ediyor, kaldırılmasını savunuyor ve devamı için finansman araştırıyor. Ardından da ivme yaratmak adına elde edilen sonuçları dünyaya duyuruyor. Şimdi konumuzla ilgili çok kısa notlar aldım. Bunları sizlere hatırlatarak başlatacağım semineri. 2017 yılında Anadolu Ajans haberinde 727 olan toplam baraj veya HES sayısının 2023 yılında 1454 adet olarak planlandığı belirtilmiştir. Hala Mersin balıkları için çok önemli olan Sakarya Nehri üzerinden konuşacak olursak, 4 adet yapım aşamasında toplam 17 baraj ve HES vardır. Sakarya Nehri toplam 824 kilometre uzunluğundadır. Türkiye'deki en yüksek baraj Artvin ilinde Çoruh Nehri üzerinde bulunmakta olup en yüksek barajımız 270 metre Yusufeli, daha sonra 249 metre ile de Deriner Barajı'dır. Dünyadaki en yüksek baraj Çin'de bulunmaktadır ve 305 metre yüksekliğe sahiptir. I took very short note about our river, and I would like to remind you about them, Herman. I said it was stated in Anatolian News Agency reports that the total number of dam and hydroelectric power plants, which was 727 in 2017, was planned to be 1,454 in 2023. If we talk about the Sakarya River, which is still very important for sturgeon fish, Sakarya River is 824 kilometers long in total. There are a total of 17 dam and hydroelectric power plants, 4 of which are under construction in the Sakarya River. The highest dam in Turkey are located on the Çoruh River in Artvin, and our highest dam is 270 meters, Yusufeli Dam, and then Deriner Dam with 249 meters. The highest dam in the world is located in China and has a highest of 305 meter. Eğer burada kanun maddesini Türkçe okumak istiyorum gençler için. 1380 sayılı Su Ürünleri Kanunu'nun son hali 2019 yılında düzenlenmiş olan balık geçitleriyle ilgili maddeye bakacak olursak, maddeyi önce Türkçe olarak sonra İngilizcesini Herman için okuyacağım. Madde 5 der ki, akarsular üzerinde kurulmuş veya kurulacak olan baraj ve regülatör gibi su yapılarında su ürünlerinin geçmesine mahsus balık geçidi yapılması ve işler durumda bulundurulması zorunludur. Ancak yüksekliği 20 metreden fazla olan su yapılarında masrafları müteşebbisle karşılanmak üzere Tarım ve Orman Bakanlığı'nca yapılacak veya yaptırılacak bilimsel araştırma ve inceleme sonucu balık geçitlerinin işlevsiz olacağının anlaşılması halinde balık geçidi dışında farklı göç yapıları asansörle taşıma, yapay ortamda üretip kaynağa bırakma gibi tedbirler alınabilir. Bu nedenle bu madde kapsamında balık geçidi, balık asansörü ve diğer yapılara ilişkin projenin onayı, kontrolü, kabulü, inşaat tekniği açısından Devlet Su İşleri Genel Müdürlüğü tarafından yapılır veya yaptırılır. If we take a look at the article on fish passage in the fishery law in final version of which was added in 2019, Article 5 states, in water structures such as dams and regulators established or to be established on river, it is obligatory to build a fish passage for the pass of aquatic organisms and keep them in working condition. However, if it is understood that the fish passage will be non-functional as a result of the scientific research and investigation conducted by the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry in water structure with a height of more than 20 meters, the cost of which are covered by the company owner, measures such as different migration structure other than the fish passage, transportation by elevator, production in an artificial environment, and leaving it to the source can be taken. The approval, control, and acceptance of the project regarding fish passage, fish elevator, and other structure within the scope of this article is made by General Directorate of State Hydraulic Works in terms of construction technique. Şimdi seminere başlatacağım. Herman bizimle dam removal, restoring the biodiversity of European rivers by removing dams başlıklı konuşma dinleyicilerimize sunacak. Faydalı olacağını düşündüğümüz bu seminerin ardından soru ve yorumlarınız olursa chat kısmından yazarak veya mikrofonunuzu açarak sorunuzu sorabilirsiniz. Today, Herman going to be with us and will give a seminar to the audience in his speech titled Dam Removal, Restoring the Biodiversity of European Rivers by Removing Dams. If you have any question or comments after this seminar, which I think will be useful, you can ask your question by typing in chat or opening your microphone. I want to say thank you so much for accepting our invitation and being with us before Herman started the seminar. Now, the stage is yours. We are listening to you.
Thank you, Devrim, for the introduction. I really like to be back in Turkey again. I visited Turkey in 2009. I went to Ankara, I went to Trabzon. I visited some mountains where they were building fishways. DSE, your governmental organization, was preparing those. I gave some advice back then, and then I went back in 2016 to a seminar. I think it was in Istanbul. I loved it a lot. It was really nice. I went to a concert in the evening in Istanbul, and it was really nice. And I hope to be back soon. So thank you for the introduction.
Yeah. Always welcome. You are.
I will share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah?
Perfect.
Okay. So my name is Herman Wanningen. I'm from the Netherlands, from the northern part of the Netherlands, in a city called Groningen. And I'm going to give a presentation about dam removal. And dam removal is quite new to a lot of people in Europe, especially the fish passage community, but also the citizens. This is a very new topic, and I'm going to talk a bit about how we are trying to get this dam removal going in Europe and how we want to restore the biodiversity in European rivers. The World Fish Migration Foundation I started this foundation in 2014 because I thought that there is a lot going on saving rivers, and a lot of organizations were taking measures to help fish, but nobody was really communicating about it, and not many people were aware about the topic, and not many people were aware about the fact that migratory fish swim through rivers, and because it's happening underwater and you cannot really see what is happening underwater, so it didn't get a lot of attention. So with the World Fish Migration Foundation, I'm hoping to create more attention and awareness around the world, but also to contribute to the protection and the restoration of rivers. And I remembered from my my first visit to Turkey that the name Balık Göçü is the name for fish migration, so I like to use that. Yeah. My team is, we are with around 10 persons, sometimes with 6, sometimes with 12. It depends a bit on how much work we are doing for World Fish Migration Day and other activities we are doing. But we want to be an inclusive team. We want to share information, inspire people and practitioners around the world, connect them, support them with information, but also create fun, because I think fish are also fun and rivers are fun to be part of. And so we are a positive foundation when we want to give a positive contribution to restoring rivers around the world. When you talk about migratory fish, and especially the ones with long distance migration, we're talking about around 1,100 species in total. And maybe a question to Devrim. Devrim, which species in Turkey have a long distance migration, like longer than 100 kilometers?
Sturgeon. Sturgeon, anadrome fish, and they are moving the river.
And
I can say sturgeon or black sea trout.
Yeah, okay. And I think you also have lampreys.
Lamprey, yes, we have lamprey, I think, by freshwater species, not marine. I think I don't know really. Maybe Özcan right? Lampetra, sequoia. We have also European eel, very important species.
And if you, for example, if you talk about the Mekong River, they have over 160 species that travel longer than 100 kilometers to fulfill their life cycle.
Yes.
Also in the Amazon, there are a lot of migratory fish species. So these fish species, they play an important role in the food chain, and also a lot of people depend on these fish. And we, the humans around the world, have forgotten about the fact that a lot of people depend on these fish. And for example, the Mekong River supports, the fisheries in the Mekong River supports 60 million people with fish. So these fish are really important. And these fish swim through the veins of the world. So the arteries of the world, the veins of the world, as we call them. And if you block veins or arteries, like in your body, and your veins get stuck, then you get sick, and at the end you can also die if you get too many problems in your veins. And it's the same with rivers. If you block rivers, the rivers will slowly die out, and the fish populations will collapse at a certain point. And these veins are, we can say, the swimways of the world. So these fish use these veins, these rivers, as swimways, like birds use the air as flyway. And so we've started a project called Swimways, Global Swimways, together with the IUCN and Cambridge Conservation Initiative, to map the swimways and to give advice to policymakers and river managers to how to protect and how to restore migratory fish populations. But I think it's really important that we map the routes, because then it becomes visible which routes are the most important. And our vision for the world and the world's rivers is to have rivers full of fish. And I think maybe 100 years ago or longer ago in Europe, we had rivers full of fish. The Rhine, for example, which enters the sea in the Netherlands and starts in Switzerland, had millions of salmon, and that's all gone, and that's what we see all over Europe. And it's something that we want to take this back, and our vision is to have rivers full of fish again. And from New Zealand to Hawaii, so all over the world, helping practitioners that have the same vision. And what we don't like to see, and this is something that really hurts me, to be honest, that these fish are banging their heads against weirs and dams, and they can't move on, they can't go to their spawning grounds. And I'm really worried about this. And there are hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of barriers around the world. And also the fact that fish get stuck on trash racks, like this fish in Sweden. This was a picture I took in Sweden. We're waiting, or we're getting exhausted, and they wanted to go downstream, but they couldn't because of this trash rack. And then at the end, they get stuck on the trash rack because they are exhausted, and then they die at the end. And that's something that I really would like to prevent from happening. If you look at the map of Europe, and it's quite similar to the USA and other parts of the world, is that our rivers are stuffed with barriers. And we have been counting these barriers through a project called Amber. And we counted 660,000 dams and weirs and sluices. And we estimated, based on our field visits and field surveys, we estimated 1.2 million barriers. And that's one barrier per river kilometer in Europe. So really staggering numbers. And we published this in the Nature magazine in December 2020. And we got a lot of press attention from this publication. And what we have been doing so far in Europe and also in other countries and other continents is that we are drowning our rivers. And we're doing it for a reason, because we want hydropower, we want drinking water, agricultural use, all kinds of reasons why you build dams. But at the same time, we are drowning them, and fish are disappearing. And since 1970, we have lost 76% of the migratory fish populations in rivers, and 94% of the freshwater megafish, like sturgeon, for example, or other like catfish species. And this is a dramatic figure, and we think we can still turn the tide if we look for the good solutions, the solution that really work. And these fish, the reason why there's not so much attention for fish is that you cannot see them. And that's the reason why WWF started a report called Forgotten Fish, and we supported that report together with 14 other organizations around the world. And this Forgotten Fish report came out in March this year, and it got a lot of press attention again. And we want to make freshwater fish more popular. There are in total 15,000 species of freshwater fish that need to be protected or need to be taken care of. And yeah, these fish are in trouble, and there are all kinds of ways that you can work on it. You can work on fishing, overfishing. You can work on habitat restoration, removing dams, restore wetlands and rivers, work on climate change, pollution. And as a foundation, we focus on removing outdated dams and opening up the rivers again and removing barriers. Because we think if you don't do it, then the rivers don't flow. And if the rivers don't flow, it doesn't work. So rivers need to flow in order to get this process working and to create healthy rivers. So you can do all kinds of things like stop overfishing and habitat loss and work on pollution. If you don't get these rivers flowing again, it's hard to restore these rivers. And what we want to do on a global level, but also from local to global, is make people proud. People that are working on solutions that really make a change, that really help fish populations. This picture is a fish passage facility currently built in the Netherlands. It's a 4-kilometer long tidal fishway. It's not built before. It's the first tidal fishway built like this, and it will be ready in 2 or 3 years. And this one is a dam removal in Estonia. And with this dam removal and with 4 other dams or 5 other dams in this river in Estonia, they're opening up 3,000 kilometers of rivers. And this is like the biggest river restoration project in Europe. And nobody was really talking about it until we found this on Instagram. So we want to highlight these kind of projects and make people proud and use these projects as showcases. We have produced also a guidance book. It's called From Sea to Source. We published it in 2018. You can download it if you go to www.fromseatosource.com, and you can find all kinds of solutions and examples of how practitioners are helping fish around the world. And I started as a fishway designer back in 2000. I'm working for a regional water authority, and I always believed that with designing fishways, I was helping migratory fish to move from one place to the other. But I also discovered that these fishways, they always need maintenance. They don't work for all fish species, or not all the year round. Or there's always something with a fishway. You really need to design a fishway really well to have it functioning in optimal form. And when I went to the USA in 2013, I went to this place. It's the Elba River in the north of the USA. And they were removing a dam of 60 meters high. And I thought, my God, 60 meters high, how is this possible? Why are they doing this? And why are they doing this? And why is Europe not taking care of the rivers in this way? So I came back to Europe, and I started a discussion with colleagues and in Sweden, with colleagues in the Netherlands, with WWF. And in Sweden, when I started talking about this, and in Finland, for example, they said, we cannot discuss this, Herman. Dam removal is not happening. We can only build a fishway if we are lucky, but removing a dam, that's not an option. And so I went back to WWF in the Netherlands and said, maybe we can start a coalition of organizations that wants to take this topic forward in Europe. And why? Because if you remove a dam, the fish come back, and the fish come back by the millions. And this is a picture of a dam in the state of Maine in the USA, in the Penobscot River. And two dams in the main stem of this river were removed, and a couple of other restoration measures in the tributaries were also executed. And what happened afterwards is that this dam was gone. But what you also see is that the river herrings, they are returning by the millions. Within 5 years, they went up from 20,000 per year to 2.8 million per year. And it's now 3 million per year. And this is not only feeding the river itself, it's also feeding the downstream part in the sea and the estuaries. So it's restoring a complete system. And it's not only about the fish, it's also about the otters and the other organisms that, and birds, for example, that prey on fish, that do well after this restoration measure. And that's why we started this Dam Removal Europe Coalition with the Nature Conservancy from the US, WWF, European Rivers Network, the Rivers Trust, Rewilding Europe, and Wetland International. And these NGOs, they are promoting dam removal in their networks. They get people together, and it's a growing partnership. And we really want to take this topic forward. And the mission is to save the free-flowing rivers of Europe, to restore them, to save them, and to be able to have rivers full of fish again, and full of life. And the picture you see here is the Vosja River in Albania, and that's the only remaining free-flowing river of Europe, completely from sea to the source. And there is a lot of pressure now to build new hydropower dams. So this is also a topic that needs a lot of attention. So what we did in 2016 is that we started Dam Removal Europe, and it's a movement to support practitioners. And if you talk about practitioners, what are you then talking about? Who is this movement? So we're talking about organizations who are funding dam removals. You're talking about subsidy experts, engineers, policymakers, researchers, people from NGOs, people from fishery, municipalities, and so on. It's a big group of people and organizations that are working on river restoration and are thinking about including dam removal as a measure for river restoration, or are already working on it. And what we want to do is connect these people with each other so that they are inspiring each other, and that they get to know each other, and that they start considering this in their policies as well. And what we are doing is, and actually enabling dam removal in Europe, is we are exciting this growing movement. We organize events, we organize seminars, we are locating and prioritizing dams. For example, with this AMBER project, we mapped all the barriers, but we are also mapping removed barriers, removed dams. We are stimulating plans and funds. We are sharing the knowledge so that people know how to remove dams, and that they know what you have to do. And we are showcasing the dam removals themselves, and we are celebrating them. I think it's an important thing that we celebrate and are proud people saving rivers. And one of the things that we are sharing is this toolkit for dam removal. And this toolkit is a step-by-step approach on what you need to do when you start thinking about the dam removal until the moment you have removed it and you are starting to monitor and if the dam removal has impact. And these are all the steps, and it's a bit too detailed to explain now, but it's a step-by-step process, and what we want to do is help the practitioners with all these steps. If you talk about case studies, if you want to be inspired, if practitioners need to have some inspiration, you just go to the website damremoval.eu and you go to the case studies, and you will find over 30, maybe 40 by now, dam removals that have been executed or are currently happening. And you can see what happened. And sometimes we also include the ecological data to show how big the impact was. So this is a great resource for practitioners to see that it's actually possible to remove dams. When when I went to Sweden and Finland in 2014 and 13, they said, Herman, you cannot mention these dam removals in our countries. And I think they had a point, because it might sound a bit aggressive that we say dam removal, but we're not talking about removing dams that have an important function, like the Iron Gate Dam or drinking water dams, or so like the bigger ones. We're talking about old and abandoned and obsolete dams, and there are a lot of them. I will show you a couple of figures later. So we're not actively want to remove all dams, and I'm not against hydropower at all, but I think there is a big opportunity in removing old and obsolete dams. And so we have been working on this. We have been we hosted seminars. There were lots of presentations from the US, from practitioners from Europe. We started a policy report about dam removal in Europe, and we created a database of removed obstacles. We did a crowdfunding campaign together with WWF, and we removed 18 barriers by collecting 60,000 euros in total. We have policy change in 3 countries now, in Finland, Lithuania, and Sweden. And this website with resources and articles, and by now the movement, the Dam Removal Europe movement, is over 2,000 persons. So it really is becoming a strong movement. And the opportunity we have is that we are counting over 200,000 sites that are abandoned or old or out of use, that can easily be removed in a way and don't need too much discussion. This dam, for example, in Spain, the Yecla de Yeltes dam, was not in use anymore, and the government in Spain has a law that says if you don't use the dam, or if the owner doesn't use it anymore or doesn't maintain it, it needs to be removed. It's a national law, and that's what they did. They removed this 25-meter high dam. And we made a special cartoon for this one, especially about the ones that have to retire the dams. And, so he's done, he's out of the way, it's not needed anymore, and then the river is free at last. What also is an opportunity is that in Europe we have 30,000 hydropower sites that need a new license at a certain point. And then the question is do we refurbish this hydropower dam, or do we remove it, or what shall we do with the hydropower dam? Because in some cases it might be too expensive to refurbish a hydropower dam and oblige to the newest laws. And in this case, the picture you see is a dam in France, the Saloon River in France. This dam is 35 meters high and 200 meters wide. And this dam was too expensive to refurbish. It was cheaper to build 2 windmills than to completely refurbish this dam. So the government decided to take it out. I will show you a couple of pictures later. What also happened is that we were asked by the European Commission to give some advice on dam removal in their policies, because they also heard about dam removal, and they also got excited, and they wanted to include this in their biodiversity strategy, their European biodiversity strategy. And we came up with the idea to mention 25,000 kilometers of free-flowing rivers as a target for the next 10 years. And that got included in the European biodiversity target. The number might be even needed to be higher, but I think this is a great start to get the countries behind the idea that free-flowing rivers are really important for the future of people living there, and for the fish living in it, for the ecological status of rivers. So we are really proud that this is included. And we also created a dam removal strategy for the next 10 years. And you can download it, this strategy, from the website, so you can see what kind of goals we have. And we are following 5 strategies. We call them critical pathways. One is that we want to identify and prioritize the river basins which need urgent attention. Within those, there are locations which can be removed easily because these are old and obsolete dams. We are identifying them, and there is a society of the willing, so we can easily make those dam removals happen by stimulating organizations to remove them. And in some cases, you have local people who are against it, and you still need to do some work on the social side. And then it's about communicating about it and making these people aware of why these dams better can be removed. So that's making removals happen and make it common sense. And the other thing is improving the policies in Europe and trying to solve the big challenges like big reservoirs, hydropower, big hydropower stations. But these are the big challenges, and we are now starting with this one and with making dam removals happen, just to get this process going. We are also tracking barriers by the barrier tracker, and I don't know if you know this barrier tracker. This is an application that you can download on your phone, and you can go into the field and make a picture, and you can fill in the name and the height and the width of a dam. And by now we have over 5,000 barriers being tracked down by citizens. And that's a really important tool to get citizens involved in river management. We also are catalyzing funding by starting up crowdfunding campaigns. This is my wife, by the way. She's also really active with her bike and some friends from Groningen. And we started this bike team to collect money to get a first dam in Lithuania down. And we collected 10,000 euros. And by this 10,000 euros, we were able to help an NGO in Lithuania to remove a dam in Lithuania. This is another example of a dam that has been crowdfunded, and it's going out on the 23rd of June, so in 2 weeks, and it will be done live during the Fish Passage conference. We are organizing a Fish Passage conference in 2 weeks with presentations from all over the world, and we are doing live interviews, and one of the live interviews will be on this site and while the dam is being taken out. So that's rather exciting. And this dam removal was, I think it was around 12,000 euros to remove this dam. So that's the amount of money that is needed to get this dam out. And we want to stimulate showcase plans, so river basin plans, dam removal plans, so that we get this topic moving forward. So using these projects like in Estonia and in France as showcase projects, because if you remove the dam, the water starts flowing again, the fish come back. This is the example from Estonia, where they are restoring 3,000 kilometers of river. This is the removed dam in France, and this part was also removed and now it's all gone. And it's opening up 90 kilometers of rivers, and in the autumn, the second dam downstream from this one will also go down. So it's really a lot of showcases are taken forward at this point. In Sweden and Finland, there is a new development, and especially Sweden, where the hydropower sector is now considering to invest in the bigger hydropower plants, but to potentially remove 600 small hydropower plants, because they are the capacity of these small hydropower plants is not so big, and it's better to invest money in the bigger hydropower plants. So they are considering through and there is a special national fund for this, to remove possibly 600 small hydropower dams. So it's a It's a really great showcase for other countries so that you reinvest and balance your hydropower in a more ecological way. We also have these smaller showcase projects like this small dam in the UK, and there are lots of these smaller showcases, and this one will be removed in the autumn of this year. We're also catalyzing dam removal policies in the past years, like for example in Finland and Lithuania. And the one from Lithuania is actually a nice one to explain a little bit about. This is Carolina from Lithuania. I met her at a conference in Sweden, and after a presentation I gave, she came to me. She said, "Herman, how can I make dam removal happen in Lithuania? I really want to take this topic forward." And I said, maybe we should start with a seminar or a meeting at your ministry, who is responsible for dams, and just get this topic discussed and see what happens. And we will bring in an expert from the US. She has removed over 100 dams by now. She can really tell in a really nice and exciting way how she is doing that and why. And that was 2018 when we went there. And 2 years later, Lithuania has a national policy for dam removal. And they also have removed the first dam by a crowdfunding campaign, and they are now considering to remove more. So it can happen really fast. Once you find the people that can make a change, it can go fast. And the same thing happened in Finland. We hosted, together with WWF, we hosted a World Fish Migration Day event at the Parliament. And during that World Fish Migration Day event, we discussed dam removal, river restoration, the future of rivers in Finland. And 2 years later, Finland has a policy for removing dams. So that's how fast it can go. What we want to stimulate are national seminars in the future. So in every country hosts national seminars to get this topic discussed. We want to show live removals through webinars. We had a live removal last year in Sweden, and we had 400 visitors from all over the world watching this live removal. And we want to host an international conference on free-flowing rivers and dam removal in around 3 years from now. We also are evaluating the progress of how dam removal is moving forward in Europe. And with the first evaluation, when we started this up, we found around 5,000 dams over the last 20 years. And we also did a survey over 2020 to see what happened in 2020. And we found over 100 dam removal projects, small ones, bigger ones. And this picture isn't even complete yet, because we know that France has done more, but we are waiting for the data, and some other countries as well. But even within 1.5 months, we found over 100 dams. Over 100 dams who were removed, smaller ones and big ones. Something that really it's also a bit frustrating, to be honest. I started as a fishway engineer and designed all kinds of fishways, and in the north of the Netherlands, but also in other parts of the Netherlands. And I'm discovering that after field visits, but also after research that has been done, that in the Netherlands, for example, 60% of the fishways don't work well. Not all fish can pass. Sometimes there is no maintenance, so the fishway is broke or is stuck. In Spain, the numbers are even higher. Over 90% of the fishways don't work as they should be. And we are estimating that in Europe, the numbers are also around over 60%. So these fishways are most of the time are really expensive. So if you design a fishway, it should work for all species during the whole year, and fish should be able to find the entrance of a fishway. And this dam in Estonia, which was removed, it had a fishway, but it didn't work well. The fish couldn't find the entrance. You see that the most of the water is flowing here, so the fish will go here and try to find an entrance and try to see if they can go over it, because this water velocity or the water discharge is just too low. And then once they enter this, the jumps, they really have to jump over through the pools, and not all fish jump. So a lot of fish are more doing bottom migration. So I think it's time that we evaluate fish waste versus dam removal. And in Denmark it already happened. And in Denmark they concluded that they don't build fishways anymore. They just remove the dam, and if they can't remove the dam, they will wait a couple of years until they can remove the dam, because they have concluded that that's the most effective way to restore the rivers. And this is a discussion that will go on in the next years, I think, because a lot of countries are now investing a lot of money in building fishways. So this is an important discussion. This fishway, for example, in the north of the Netherlands is now removed because they restored the whole river, and they remeandered the whole river system. So this fishway wasn't needed anymore, so they removed it. What we also want to do is inspire the minds by nice cartoons, videos, and in another way than only reports. So we want to inspire people in different ways. And by doing that, we want to create excitement and celebrate the removals, like we did here in Spain in 2017 when we visited this dam removal site. And we want to celebrate migratory fish and rivers through World Fish Migration Day. And I think you might know about World Fish Migration Day, and I know that in Turkey a lot of events have been happening since 2014. When we started World Fish Migration Day, Turkey has been one of the countries with a lot of events, where a lot of events happened. So I'm happy that that's the case. And if you look at one of the things that's important is that we have this ambassador like Jeremy Wade. He's the host of the River Monsters program on Animal Planet, and he's supporting the World Fish Migration Day and our foundation with movies and helping out with social media. And this is the map of the last World Fish Migration Day in 2020. And every year we are like amazed by how many organizations host events, talks, webinars, but also events outside in the field, conferences, all kinds of events, river walks, and every time we are amazed. And by now over 5,000 organizations have been involved since 2014, and 1,500 events have been organized in 70 countries. And the next World Fish Migration Day is going to happen on May 21, 2022. And I hope that Turkey will be taking part, and that you all will take part in the next World Fish Migration Day too. And the theme of World Fish Migration Day in 2022 will be break free. So removing barriers for fish in all kinds of ways. And even Donald Duck is removing dams. This is the Donald Duck from 2020, in the beginning of the year of 2020. And you see that Donald Duck is happy when the dams are being removed. So I've been talking to the Donald Duck organization in the Netherlands, and they're gonna put in a story about dams and fish as well. So I'm really happy that that is going to happen. If you want to know more about World Fish Migration Day, you can go to the World Fish Migration Day YouTube channel, and if you can watch the Law Flows movie. We have a documentary which lasts 30 minutes, and I think it's inspiring, and you can see how people around the world are celebrating World Fish Migration Day and why they do this. I also have, we're now working on a new documentary, which is called Dam Busters. And this Dam Busters documentary is about people, practitioners in Europe who are removing dams or have removed dams, and we want to highlight them in this documentary and make them proud and show other people around the world what can happen if you remove dams. And I will show you the trailer now. I hope it all works fine. Let me know if it doesn't work and I will start it up again, but let's try.
¿Has pensado qué pasaría si bloqueas las venas de tu cuerpo? Te darías cuenta de que no podrías vivir mucho tiempo. Es lo mismo que pasa con el gran organismo que es este planeta. No podemos seguir bloqueando sus ríos. ¿Qué hacemos con los miles de presas, azudes, cruces de caminos y otras barreras que ya no sirven para nada? ¿Las explotamos estilo Hollywood? Sí, algunas sí, claro, otras no. Pero a la larga es lo mismo. El río fluye y la vida fluye. Mi nombre es Pau, tal cual. Ni Paola, ni Paula, solo Pau. Soy ingeniera forestal especializada en restauración de ecosistemas y más en concreto en diseño de escalas para peces y demolición de presas. Trabajo para World Fish Migration Foundation como coordinadora del Día Mundial de la Migración de los Peces. Cuando estuve hace unos años en Estados Unidos con mi mentora Laura Wildman, aprendí que esto existía, que podíamos demoler los obstáculos de los ríos y mi vida cambió. Conocí gente en todo el mundo que también se planteaba la misma pregunta. ¿Cómo recuperamos los ríos? Y bueno, ya somos muchos. Hay héroes luchando por los ríos en todo el mundo, a todas horas. Y muchas represas desapareciendo, devolviendo la vida a los ríos. Y ahora en que estoy, me encuentro en un viaje alrededor del mundo para conocer estos héroes de los ríos y poder contarte su historia. Creo que empezaré a llamarles los cazadores de represas.
Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you liked it. And if you have questions, let me know.
Yes, thank you, Herman. I should say, World Fish Migration Foundation doing a very important movement for the river, for migratory fish especially. And now, I know you have another meeting, and then if I don't want to use time, I want to start opening question section. Now you can.
I have half an hour, so that's
okay.
Yeah.
We have half. Okay, we have.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Herman, thank you very much. It is really great presentation. Just I wonder, dam removal is a really very difficult issue, as you know, you mentioned already. How to persuade people, how to persuade ministries easily? It is because dam meaning is come from a lot of money. If you are thinking about electricity, it is not so easy to persuade them. How to say about it?
Yeah, I completely understand. That is a hard topic, and I also discovered in Europe in 2014 that was a topic that people were afraid to talk about it, and but the thing is that there are lots of old and obsolete dams that can be easily be removed and really cheap as well, and it's if just starting by getting attention for those smaller ones. And trying to get them out with small funding, I think that already starts some momentum that creates a discussion and looking into other countries how they do it. I think starting small is maybe the best way forward. So just starting with smaller dams that can be easily removed or are not in use anymore. So I would not create big discussions in Turkey about this topic, but what you can do is just to test it. Maybe say, we want to test a location which can be easily removed and do some research before and after. And what also helps is to involve people from ministries that are engineers, for example, and engineers that are excited about new topics or like new innovations. And in some cases, I know engineers that like actually the fact that the dams can also be removed. So it's a matter of starting small, I think.
All right, we will try. Thank you.
Okay. Question, please. I have now a small technical problem, but one question from Hasan Mısır. He asked, some old and abundant dams may provide a variety of benefits, including flood control, recreation and irrigation. How can the benefit of a dam be replaced when it is removed?
Yeah, I think if it's old and abandoned, then it should be, it's not in use anymore. But if the dam is still in use for irrigation or flood control, yeah, then it would be strange if an old and abandoned dam is still in use for flood control or recreation, or especially flood control or irrigation, because that dam should then be maintained. I think the first discussion you should have then in that case is this dam really old and obsolete, or is it still in use? Because if it's still in use, I can imagine that you're not considering to remove it. So I'm only looking into the dams at this point that have really no use. And in some cases, the government might decide that for ecological reasons, it happens in Europe, it happens in some countries where they say, we think that this river has so much ecological importance for the protection of species, or fish species, or other species, that they say, we're going to take care of these dams, we're going to remove them, but we're going to take care that the flood control is still in place, we're going to take care that the recreation function will be, it happens. But I'm now at this point, if I think from a Turkey perspective, I would say only look at dams that really are abandoned and have no use, and maybe start with those. I see that Okan.
Buyurun.
Hi, Herman. How are you? I'm from Turkey, from small city between Ankara and Istanbul, Bolu. You might know this place, maybe, I don't know. But my question is that, as far as I see from your presentation, your aim is not only to remove the dams, but provide an opportunity for the fish migration. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, you are trying to bring up the ecological success of the fish, that fish can have bread and the wider areas to move around.
Yeah.
But also, as far as I see from your presentation, you have not really succeeded this part, because 60 to 90% of not, going to the success is not really a short amount of percentages. So how would you think about the ecological success of this project?
The fact is that in Europe we're just starting up with all these measures, so it's rather new, and it's something from the last say 10 to 20 years that this is happening. And if you look at what's happening in Denmark, for example, where they have been removing dams, and they're looking at the impact of what happens on a complete river basin scale, then they see the positive impact. They see trouts returning and much higher abundance than before. They see salmon. So there are stories that are really successful, but in some cases you need the time that the ecological system can restore. And if you look at migratory fish that also use the sea and come back to the rivers and need the whole route from sea to the source, then you have to open up the complete system, and that takes time. So it's heading in that direction step by step, but it takes time to restore systems, and we have to do some management of the expectations of the. We have to manage the expectations that you cannot. It's not happening like from one year to the other. And the example I'm using from the Penobscot is an example that took 5 years to go from 20,000 river herrings to 2.8 million. So it's already rather fast, but that's the river herrings. But if you look at Atlantic salmon, in their case, it's going really slowly, and it's going up, but slowly. So so it depends on the species, depends on where you are in the system, how far you are from the sea. So yeah, lots of considerations.
Okay, please correct me if I'm correctly understand what you are talking about. So you have not, as well as I now understand, you have not really any scientific results so far yet. Is that right?
No, that's not right. Okay. No, we have the scientific research from Denmark, especially, and there's scientific research now happening in France. But the one from Denmark and the one from Maine is scientifically followed, and they see impact. They see a difference between before and after, and so the evidence is there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Another question do you have? I know that is a lot of students watch you now. Rehan hocam, yes.
All right. May I ask?
Okay.
I don't have a question, but I have something to say if it's all right with you.
Okay.
I was going to thank you for the presentation. It was very enlightening, and the work that you do is actually very important. For I was actually going to thank you for the work that you do and your team also on behalf of the fish and the ecosystem that you save.
Thank you.
And I hope that someday around the world that we all understand that first to get to solve a problem, we need to just, as you said, mentioned at first when you were starting your talk, we are blocking these veins of life that flood the fresh water which sustain the life. And the biggest problem is that dams should be like destroyed, and most importantly, the ones that we don't have any use for at the moment. So thank you for the work that you are doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It's nice to hear. And I have to say that we are not the only ones. I think the real heroes are the people, the practitioners who really like remove them and really take this topic forward, like the woman from Lithuania, for example, in their country. She's alone and she's taking this topic forward, and I think those people are the real heroes. And another one is, for example, the project manager from Estonia, who is involved in this project of 3,000 kilometers. And that's what we like to do. We like to highlight them. But thank you very much for your compliments.
Thank you so much.
Yes, first, I think Rehan hocam, hands up. You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Thank you, Herman, for your nice presentation. It was really, I was really glad to hear you again. Unfortunately, you couldn't see me because they didn't open my camera.
We are listening, no problem, Rehan hocam.
Okay, then.
Okay.
The question is, having dams has two kinds of problems. At one side, we are building dams. At other sides, you are trying to make them. You are trying to remove them. But in Turkish situation, we are still in the site of building new dams. But when we look at also some European countries like maybe Croatia or some other Balkans or southern European countries, they are starting to building dams in their countries. So do you have any kind of action against them, or you are just your organization is focusing just the removal of the dams? So
we are focusing on the removal, especially because we think we want to give a positive contribution to this discussion. And if we are focusing on removal and really be an activistic group against dams, then it doesn't really, being a positive organization and then being against new dams is a bit too much for us. And we like to just positively contribute, and then we hope that by opening up this discussion about removing dams, that people start thinking like, hey, if we are removing dams, why are we building so many dams? Maybe we should balance it a bit more in a more economically safe way. And so that's how we would like to contribute to that discussion. And I know a lot of organizations that are really against and that have activistic actions. It's fine for me, but it's as a foundation, we say we focus on the dam removal part.
Okay, but it should be a kind of pain for you also to see that there is new dams building again and again, and generally these are big ones, not the small dams. So
it can be frustrating, yeah. But in a way, I think if we focus on this 200,000 obsolete and old and abandoned weirs and culverts and dams, and we focus on that topic and we get that going, then we will create like a shift in thinking and shift in people's minds and policies in Europe. And I think within 10 years, we might have caused the shift, and I hope also the shift in thinking about new hydropower.
Thank you very much.
And this is what I would like to say, that we like happy fish. So yeah, so it's hard to be a happy fish. Don't like these new dams as well. But I want to promise you something for the next World Fish Migration Day in 2022. If you think of an award, like a drawing competition for kids or something else in Turkey, then I promise that the winner of your competition will get this fish from me.
Happy fish. Okay, thank you.
Think about some kind of award in Turkey, then we will take care that this.
There is one here. You can join.
Yeah, for the young people, very interesting. Yes, now I saw Güneş Yamaner.
Hi.
Who is from our department, agriculture department.
Yeah, but my question has been answered because the Reyhan Hocam is asked, and now I have no question about it.
Okay. Yes, do you have another question? Okay, Herman, I wonder, I want to ask, if I am not wrong, you said about Spain rules, about retired dam, old dam.
Yeah.
They say they have a rule, if this dam old, they have to remove it.
It's obliged by the law.
Okay, is it how many dam removed by this way, this rule, according to this rule? Do you know?
A couple of hundred.
A couple of hundred.
Yeah, so it's in the hundreds right now. Yeah.
In Spain or in all Europe?
Spain.
Only in Spain. Oh, perfect.
They have a list of. They are now making a new list of which ones are still in use and which ones are abandoned. So they really take action to get them out, because they're becoming unsafe. It's going to be a safety hazard at some point. Nobody knows who is paying for it, so they really want to get this going.
Okay. About budget, who is covered this removal budget, or
Yeah, in Spain,
is this company or government?
in Spain, the ministry,
Ministry.
and the water managers, the river managers, they pay for it, and in some cases they make the owner pay. Because it's the law, and they can oblige the owner to remove it. So, but sometimes they have a negotiation about who is paying, but in most cases, the river managers or the ministry is paying for it.
What about your idea? You support this rule for the all Europe country?
Yeah, so
your country.
Yeah, so that's what we are promoting, to include the law of Spain in all countries, because I think it's a really strong law, and it's also a sensible law. Because if you leave these weirs and dams there, then they become a safety hazard. So they should be going out anyhow. It's also a law, by the way, in the USA. In the USA, they have the same law.
Okay. Okay. Yes, now Güneş, again.
Again, me?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Herman. But I wondered that about the biologic side, how you decided to fish species that coming up and coming back. So my question like that. So do you think that this just a situation or just a solution is to remove them? Or not? How you decided about the fish species? For example, one there a river and there's some 3 species or 4 species. So how you can decide about it? How you can manage it? So I wonder about it.
Yeah. When you look at the different species for example, in the Netherlands, we look at all the species which are still there, which are seen as like target species for rivers and also for healthy rivers. So the Water Framework Directive, for example, which is a European law, we have to oblige to that law, and the rule is that we have to create healthy river systems. And in these healthy river systems, you have fish, you have water plants, you have algae and water insects, and so all these different species are part of these healthy rivers. And if you look at fish, there are like 10 species in the Netherlands which migrate between the sea and the shores. And some of them use bigger rivers, some of them use smaller rivers. So we are looking at, when the river manager who is responsible for these rivers looks at what is the target, what are the target species, they look in we have these species, and these species have habitat requirements. So if they have habitat requirements, we should take care that the habitat is there, that it is accessible, that the rivers run freely and between the sea and the source. So all kinds of requirements, and then they decide what to do. Then they make a plan of measures. Sometimes it's remeandering, sometimes it's removing a barrier, or a combination of both, or installing a fishway. So based on these requirements from all these species, obliged by the European law, we can say this is the plan of measures that we are taking for the next 10 to 20 years, and that's how these plans are evolving.
So all of the things is working like as you said. For example, the one species is the demersal and the one is the pelagic. So you can you can remove them, but another way, migration rate is the really can be done like you said.
Can you say what's the specific question at this point?
This is the question. For example, you have the demersal fish, for example, sturgeon, and you have another fish, which is the swimming in the middle of the water. Yeah. So you have some migration way about 2 species. You can or we can make this migration way for this species.
Yeah.
We can do it or not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can do it. Everything is possible. But so when you look at these species, if you have sturgeon and you have some smaller species, you look at what are the requirements of these species that have to migrate to fulfill their life cycle in the river basin. And if you look at the requirements, you can then export these. You can use these requirements to come up with solutions that work for all these species. And the conclusion in the Netherlands is that if you think about fishways, there are certain fishways that work for all species, or certain fishways that work the whole year round. And so based on the species requirements, you can come up with solutions that really work. And the most effective, in my view, is if you remove the dam, because then the river starts flowing again. The river is free, the river flows, the connectivity is restored, the sediment transport is starting up again. But that's not possible everywhere. So I'm aware that you cannot do this everywhere. You should really prioritize the measures. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have.
Okay. Another question? Arja. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for all for organizing this event. I came across on Twitter and I joined it. I'm from another university, environmental science. I would like to know if you check the pollution level of the rivers that the dams are removed, because as far as I know, I'm not an expert, but if the river is very polluted, if there is a dam on it, even if it's not like functioning well or abandoned, the sediments would be collected on that dam, and the downstream would be cleaner relatively. And how do you consider the pollution level in terms of that?
Yeah, so it's a good question, because it's really important aspect of dam removal projects is the fact that these reservoirs cause sedimentation, and in the sediments pollutions, heavy metals or other pollutions are like collected. And before every dam removal, you should be sure that you're not causing a new pollution problem. So you should do some research. You should see if the sediments are clean or not, or how polluted they are. And the example I showed you from France, this 35 meter high, the Saloon Dam, it actually, the upstream there were polluted sediments. And what they did after they did this research, they concluded that they isolated this sediments. They first drowned the reservoir, then they isolated not drowned, they lowered the reservoir so that they could isolate the pollutants and the toxicants in the sediments. And then they started to restore the whole system. So first they worked on the sediments. I think that's really important aspect. So a good question.
Thank you.
Herman, I really thank you very much for your big effort. You are doing excellent job for the fish migration and dam removal. I am sure not only the dams, also rivers also very happy. Not only fish, also rivers also very happy. Therefore, we are very grateful to you. I hope some works will be done in Turkey in the future. We really need your idea how to do it. Thank you for your presentation again. Let's talk about in the future again.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
All right.
It would be my pleasure.
All right.
Okay. if you have question, I want to ask last question to Herman. Herman, we know you said also fish way, most of them is inactive. In Europe, also in Turkey, same situation. So how we can say fish ways are solve the problem, migration problem?
Yeah.
What is your idea?
I have a difficulty with this one, because it can work in a way, like if you really design a fish in certain I know some fishways like bypasses in Sweden, for example, where they also have installed a special trash rack which doesn't kill fish when they go downstream. But those are so expensive. They are even almost more expensive than the hydropower station itself. And I wonder if you have to balance this. And I when I went to Turkey in 2009, I went into the mountains and I saw fishways in mountains, which was so steep that I cannot imagine that any fish would swim up against those fishways.
Yes,
and
we know.
I would then rather advise not to invest in the fishway there, but to invest this money in research for improving fish migration in other parts of Turkey, or like focusing on rivers which still have a good functioning ecosystem, or have the potential to be restored. And that you just conclude, okay, for this river, it might be make no sense to install fishways, but we can at least restore a couple of rivers in Turkey which have high biodiversity, for example. So making these kind of choices, I know it's hard. It's a hard discussion, but I think it might be needed. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, before the concluding, if you have question, I saw no question. I would like to give the final word to my vice dean, and then I will close.
Okay. Thank you very much. First to you, Herman. As I said, it was a pleasure to listen to you again, and I hope that after this whole pandemic situation, we can have a chance to have you here personally, not virtually. And also, I would like to thank you all the participants to listen and ask questions. I'm sure if you do some enlightenments to the young people, maybe to the 10 years old or lower people, children, it could be more important if we gave them some ideas about the whole ecosystem. They can just grow up in a better way to understand the nature. And sometimes it is difficult when they are living in cities like Istanbul. So thank you very much for all the people. Again.
Thank you. And I hope that I can bring this happy fish next year.
Okay, dear Herman, I thank you very much on behalf of our students especially, and all our participants for this nice and very useful seminar. I hope that we will witness concrete events together, where all kind of obstacles created on the worst river have been removed, and the fish migrate comfortably in order to breed or feeding next time. Next year, we hope to meet again Fish Migration Day, 2022, I think. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, and see you soon.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.